In our health talk series, our guest today is Ritu Gaind. In 2006, she had a heart surgery and she stayed in coma for 5 days. And then she had to go on salt-free diet. It's a true story of a survivor who has fought death. And today we are going to talk to her about her survival story. Also, had just completed a book on survival with a taste. She said that how she could live on a boiled food and without salt. So today we are going to talk to her about her story. Rituji, welcome to our studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
So in 2006 you had this heart surgery
Ji.
and you were in coma for 5 days.
Yes.
And then also the doctor made a mistake by injuring your lung.
Which they don't admit, but that is what happened.
Okay. So let's go there and how you have managed to survive. You have now very healthy lifestyle. You do a lot of things. You are very active in the community. And you look absolutely perfectly healthy as somebody has no complications.
I have no complications because I don't believe I have any complications.
Okay. So let's tell us, and then also you are going to speak at our upcoming Health Expo.
Ji.
And you are going to tell your story live to our audience there.
Ji.
So we just basically want to get a glimpse right now about a glimpse into your life. And we want to start with what happened with your heart in 2006 in November.
Okay. After they did the bypass surgery, and we thought like surgery, and after that I'll be fine. And the next shock was that when I'm in coma, both my boys, younger one was still in college at the time, and my husband, they were distraught. Every time I remember opening my eyes, every time 3 of them were doing my acupressure, constantly. Every time I opened, the 3 of them, one has got my feet, other 2 have my hands, and they kept saying that this is a natural way of person recovering acupressure, and we believe in it strongly. So they continued. But anyways, 5 days later, they brought me to my room and kept me in the hospital for a while. I thought, okay, this is, many times I think that was end of my life or was that beginning of new life. And today I'm very proud of myself that I have made that end of my life into a new beginning. And once I was home, a week later I went for checkup to the surgeon, and he says, oh, your lungs are filled with water, so we have to tap it and take it out. And I said, okay. He said, oh, don't worry, it's a very minor procedure. You'll be out of here in half an hour. Of course, half an hour, as soon as they did it, my blood pressure dropped and I fainted, so they kept me in the hospital. Next day, I said, I'm going home. I'm not going to stay in the hospital. Came home. 2 weeks later, again the same thing. My lungs were completely filled with water. And they said, doctor says, oh, it's a long weekend. It was end of year 2006. And most of people or technicians are not available. So you have to go home. I said, but I can't breathe. I can't sit. They said, you have to manage, but come back on the 1st. I said, okay. I just sat on the sofa for 4 or 5 days, couldn't lie down, couldn't sleep. And first when I went back, they did another procedure to tap and take the water out and send me back home again. By the time I reached home, I was again panting for breath. I was almost dying. So my mother had come from India to take care of me. And my husband, they said, this is an emergency. He literally picked me up, threw me in the car. There was no time to call the ambulance, and rushed me back to Lehi, Burlington. By the time we reached there, I was barely breathing. And the chief nurse screamed, she is dying. Let her, take her in. We'll do the paperwork later. That's the last word I remember. And then when I opened my eyes, I had ventilator in my mouth. I couldn't speak. I was like, oh my God, I had no clue. I didn't even know what ventilator was at that time. So then they said, and every morning the doctor will come with all his new team of students. This lady is going to die because she cannot breathe on her own and we can't remove the ventilator.
Do you remember hearing that?
Every day, that trauma has still not left me. That how can they be that insensitive? A patient, I'm not brain dead that I can't hear you. I can hear you, I cannot respond, I cannot speak. And he's telling, of course, he's teaching the students, but have the courtesy not to be so cruel to the patient. Every day he said that. Oh, she's going to die. Then I had to write to make them understand on board, on paper, scribble. Many times I lost my patience. I'll kick, I'll throw the board because I was so frustrated what to do. Then end of January they said she has to go to rehab. I had no clue what rehab hospital is. I thought that's where they send people to die because they don't want dying here, so they're sending you another place. Then they, of course, figured out which the best hospital Shaughnessy was, so they took me to Shaughnessy Rehab, and everybody was shocked. They said, oh my God, at 54, this girl looks like this. She's never getting out of this place.
And how long you were in rehab?
Exactly 4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay.
And what they couldn't do in 4 weeks at Burlington, in 1 week technicians took my ventilator. It was absolutely amazing. The dedication, the knowledge, the due diligence they did. I honestly owe my life to the staff at Shaughnessy Rehab. They did a wonderful job.
So now, before you get into more detail into your story, and I'm really interested that how you have survived with boiled food and without salt. But before that, I have one question. You are also going to speak at our health expo, and you're going to talk about medical care from patient's perspective. So if I ask you 5 things when you are a patient in a hospital or you're having some emergency complication, what are the 5 things a patient should have in mind?
During the problem or afterwards when you're recovering?
Well, when you are recovering or before,
Okay.
yeah. Just in general, for example, if I'm like, I'm a patient, and when I see a doctor, what are the things I should pay attention to?
Okay. Later on that I've learned, I was very insensitive to health or taking care of myself,
Sure.
which I never did before.
Sure.
But now, of course, is your commitment to stay well, your due diligence, your discipline, your action, and somebody that you have to own up to responsibility. Doctor can prescribe, he can write medication. He can't live my life for me. He cannot be at home with me 24 hours. If I'm not responsible for myself, how can he take care of me? He can't. So I have to give him those tools of sense of responsibility that he can say, okay, this patient, when I tell them something. Today, my doctors, both at Mass General, everybody says, oh, you are our star patient, because we tell you one thing and you do 5 more on your own. Because you just, there were a lot of complications, one thing after another. So just to give you that answer to that.
Okay.
Those are the pointers that I'll say.
Excellent. Now come back to your the diet, the boiled food and the salt.
That was, I was discharged from the hospital 2007, 1st March.
So we were talking earlier about what the patients should do. Now I want you to come back to your boiled diet and saltless food. How did you do that, and how that journey started?
Oh, that was very painful to start. I always used to say, oh my God, I wish I was dead. I didn't have to go through this. And that I didn't find out till May, because I couldn't go for cardiac rehab. I was too weak. So May, when it started, and the nurse told me I have to be on zero salt diet. And I said, okay, so I won't tell her that I'm eating salt. How will she know? And she says, next day again, she says, again you gained weight. You had salt? I said, yeah, a little bit. She made me understand every time my weight went up 2 pounds, I was going through congestive heart failure. That shocked me. I didn't know that. So long I didn't know, I didn't care. But once I understood it, and as it is, my ejection fraction was extremely low. So they were constantly worried and keeping an eye out on me. So then they said, okay. So I said, now no pakoda, no samosa, no tikki, no bhatura, no kebabs. And how can you survive? Anyway, so started slowly doing it. That, okay, then slowly, once in, I'll eat everything bland and make faces. I lost my appetite. I was very fat. I was 165 pounds. And when I couldn't eat all this, and people say, oh my God, you can't eat. What's the point in living? I said, well, I have new inspiration. I'm reducing in size. I've gone from size 18 to size 8. That's my inspiration. That I really getting charged up. Every time I lose a little more weight, I'll buy a new dress. And it doesn't matter whether I eat salt or not. But it was very difficult. Slowly, initially I'll put a little bit. Then slowly I said, no, I can't do it, because I will fall sick every so often. And initially 2-3 years, I was in the hospital 2-3 times a year. And then I said, this can't be. And then one day, my husband made me understand that every time you are hospitalized, you come back, it takes 6 months out of your effort that you're putting in. I said, okay. So then I said, I started making the food very spicy and add a lot of lemon and black pepper. And then I realized I didn't miss salt at all. And it was very delicious. So when I will go to my friends' places and they say, kebabs, where did you get the kebabs? I said, I brought them from home. Can I taste it? I said, without salt? They said, this tastes very good. I said, I told you I'm eating without salt, not tasteless khana.
So what is your typical diet today?
Today, okay. Early morning is the cereal. I basically boil it in water and then just add few drops of, because I'm also diabetic, so I want to make sure I'm not overeating at any time. Then a little bit of any dal boiled, I add masala to that, and lemon and black pepper, and no tadka, and any vegetable, mostly whichever. Indians, we have so many vegetables.
Sure.
You can cook new vegetable for a whole month.
Sure. So now how do you manage? How do you keep track of your food and diet?
This all credit goes to my younger son.
What is his name?
Amit Gaind.
Okay.
He is a banker, successful one, and also data. Everything is data. And I'm a non-technical person. So 2012, I was supposed to have a pacemaker installed. So he comes home and my sugar was, A1C was 11.5. And I was so worried that I'll never recover with this high sugar. So he hands me an iPad. And he said, Ma, you are going to write everything that you are eating, you're drinking into this MyFitnessPal. Everything has to be documented, and end of the day, you're going to email it to me. I'm going to check it out. I said, I was so resentful of him. I said, what is this? Are you my mother or am I your mother? No, Ma, you're going to do it. And you're going to do diabetic app, and you're going to log in your sugars all day long. So I started, I was so angry, so resentful, didn't want to do it. But because of fear and not upsetting him, I just followed it through. And today that is my Bible. It is inspires a patient oneself. You don't need to go to the doctor to tell you what to do. The graph is telling you is going up, not doing well, going down, doing well. You're saying, okay, the sugar is here, and my sugar in 4 months' time, I brought it down to 6.5. My doctor says, how did you do it? I have never known in my practice anybody. I said, that's me, you put me outside, I'll consult with all your patients and tell them. I said, do you want to look at my iPad? Initially they looked. Now I said, doctor, here's my iPad. No, I don't want to look at it. I know you got it. You're doing all
So
right.
how was it easy to use all these apps for you, or?
It's
Difficult.
all there. It is just entry. Like the app tells you what's your morning sugar. And you just say, okay, it's 70 or it's 95. And then again, lunchtime, it says that.
And how often you taste your food?
When initially I was doing it to control it 4 times a day before meals, fasting before lunch, before dinner, and going to bed to make sure that because then you're getting your everyday average right. Or you know what is your average,
Yeah.
whether it's 90 or it's 150, whatever it is. By the time you go to doctor, he will take the 3 months average. It's too late. You can't go back in time. So I learned to manage. Once I understood this is how it's working, then I said, okay, so I don't have to wait all day. If lunch is high, then I know how to manage my dinner tonight, so the sugar bedtime will not go high. So I started doing it, and I tell so many of my friends, they're too lazy, they don't want to follow it.
So that's how through the apps
Sugar.
and iPad you
Yes,
managed
yes,
that.
yes.
When did the idea about writing this book came in your head?
This actually was never started like that. It was that I was eating, and I said, last time what I cooked was so nice, today it doesn't taste good. My husband, being a scientist, he says, so why don't you write it? I said, who writes recipes? He says, there's no harm, at least you will know how much you put everything. So I started writing, then I had to control the portions because of my diabetes and my heart and my weight. So all that. And Anu Chitra, who was the first one, Ritu, you should write a book. I said, everybody's saying write a book. I am not talented to write a book. I don't know anything about it. They tried to help me a lot, but because being non-techie, it was very difficult. But then slowly as I was doing, then one day my husband said, so today you're going to start the book. I said, I don't know any recipes. I can't. He says, count. I said, I can't go beyond 30 recipes. What will a book with 30 recipes do? He said, okay, how about let me start counting. He counted up to 150 recipes. I said, you mean to say I really cook all that?
So the book is a book of recipes?
It's a book of recipes along with my story, that why, first of all, I wrote it and how. Because when I was just coming out with very low energy, I couldn't walk one step. I couldn't walk 1 minute. I mean, 1 minute and they'll put a chair at home, sit down, and then again get up and walk and put another, again 1 minute and a chair. 5 minutes first time I walked. We celebrated at home. I walked 5 minutes today. Now today I do 8 to 12,000 steps a day. And almost 2 hours of walking every day, 40 minutes of exercise, half an hour of pranayam. All that just goes on to take care. It's a whole management of my health. Starts with pranayam in the morning and my exercise. And then it takes me 2 hours to cook my meals. Every day I eat fresh. There is nothing that comes from the market. It's all raw vegetables and fruits that are being cut. No canned tomatoes, no canned nothing. And now for almost a year I've been mostly vegetarian, and that seems to be helping a lot.
So what you want to tell people who are having these diabetic or health issues or heart issues, what this would do?
Okay, any sickness, it doesn't matter what sickness is. The steps to take care of it are more or less the same. you have to, first of all, you owe it, you have to love yourself enough to survive. And you say, okay, I want to survive for myself and for my loved ones. I have to take care. If I expect them to take care of me, and I take it as a right that they're going to take care of me when I'm sick. It's my duty to take care of me, to return it to them, that what they put into me. My friends did that. So I owe my life to them, that they have put in so much effort. I wasn't well a few weeks ago. This friend of mine comes to me, she said, Ritu, I don't like to see you down like this. I want to see you walk and talk and laugh like you always do. I said, next time you'll see me like that. So it's inspiration. You inspire yourself. When you're happy yourself, you radiate happiness. So people pick it up. And your due diligence, discipline, commitment, those are the things that, and every sickness has the same thing. That is irrespective of whether anybody has cancer or blood pressure or heart problem. And I'm sure there are apps to manage, to log everything. Memory is very poor. We can't go back and say, last month, what did I eat that I was okay or I wasn't okay. But when I've logged in on my iPad or my phone, and I said, I was doing very well that week. What was I eating or what I wasn't eating? Why I'm not feeling that good today? You can always go back to the data.
And look at that, sure.
Data. So my son now, I really hats off to him for me, because from 2012 till now I have improved so substantially.
Excellent.
But
Now, other question coming back to your book, when the book is being published?
I think it should be, most of my work is done. Some photographs are left, that another time they have to take 2 more times photographs, and then it should go to the publisher. We've already spoken to them,
Okay.
and so hoping it by May. I was trying very hard that it should come out before April.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
Okay. No, at least it is in the good progress.
Haan ji.
So now, again, I want to go back to 2006, and when you have absolutely no idea when you were in coma, when you woke up from coma, what is the first thing did you see? What memory you have?
All I remember is my husband and my boys. Nothing else, that because they were there all the time, and their pale, pathetic looking faces. And that was like really scary. And but then my husband is one person, he's unbelievable. Such positive person I've never met in my life. He said, it's okay, you will be just fine. We are going home. Maybe a week. Another week. Today also sometimes when I'm feeling low, he said, you remember where you were to where you are today? This little bit problem will go away, don't worry.
So how has your life changed, 2006 versus now?
I tell you, first of all, having that death experience, because I thought I was going into, they have given me anesthesia, and I'm just going into darkness. And then when I came out of darkness, I realized I was dying. It wasn't anesthesia. And everybody said, did you see? I said, didn't see anything except darkness. And the doctor said, oh my God, you scared us. You died on us. I said, died? You gave me anesthesia. He said, no, that wasn't anesthesia. The life has changed. That having that death experience, I really took it as that life is over. Ritu Gaind, you are dead. Now it's new life with new value system. And God has given me new lease on life. So I have to do something good. And I have really been liberated to the soul in myself. I can say things that I wouldn't have 9 years ago. I can do things that I wouldn't dare do things. There is a pleasure in living today because I'm not afraid of dying anymore. I always laugh, I dare death. I said, come embrace me, I'm ready to come. And he said, no, your time hasn't come. So God has given me this new lease, there has to be a purpose. So I'm saying, okay, let the purpose be found, and let me, if I have found out about the book and I'm doing it, let other people be helpful. Lot of patients who are going through this, and let me tell them, if I could do it, I had no experience, no knowledge, and you can do it too.
What about your family, how your family looks at you? Or life in general? I'm sure it must be
Uh,
point of conversation sometime.
yes, my mother is very proud of me. She cries because when she was here 6 months, she kept praying to every God there is and to Jesus Christ, because the church is right opposite my house. And she said, Jesus, send my daughter back home. She will do good in the world, will never lie, and will be very nice to people. So I laugh with her, Mummy, because of you, I'm doing Sundarkand, because you committed to God that I have to do. And they're all very happy, very proud, and on and off I have sickness bouts, and I can't travel very well. So that is a limitation, but they all say that keep doing.
So now, is there, as we come towards the end of our conversation, if I ask you to give, say, 5 or 3 advice, let's say 3 advice to people who have a diabetes, who have a heart problem, how they should take care of their health?
For diabetics, it's very easy that they have to monitor their sugar. It is, people think I have diabetes, it is very bad disease, but it can be easily managed. I have done it, so I know that.
Sure.
I'm not saying by reading a book. And I do it because I do it on an everyday basis, every meal basis. And because I don't want it going back, and now I'm challenging myself that it has to go down to below diabetic level, where the doctor will say, Mrs. Gaind, nobody else has ever done it, how did you do it? And hard exercise, your food, and you have to log in what you're eating. It's very important, because we can't remember when we ate what and I was when. Exercise, walking is the most important thing. And it doesn't matter, people think, I can't do 10,000 steps. You don't have to do it all at one time, nobody does. Just do 10 minutes walking in the house. That's 1,000 steps. So somebody called me the other day, and she says, my God, what an easy way to do it. Now I can do 10,000 steps. I said, yeah, next morning she calls me. She says, Ritu, you know what? Yesterday I did 10,000 steps. So it's simple. If you're willing to really improve your life, you have to pay attention to somebody who's done it and listen to them. Don't have, but I have this problem. We all have problems. There's nobody who's without problems. But we have to go beyond that and say how to solve it.
Excellent.
What is the solution?
Good. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And we are looking forward to listening to your talk at the Health Expo.